Welcome to Talkin' Waukesha, the podcast where every conversation springs to life.
I'm Andrew Nofke.
And I'm Anthony Terrell.
And we're your hosts for today's journey into the heart of Waukesha.
Whether you're a local or just passing through, join us as we explore the stories, people, and hidden gems that make Waukesha truly special.
From community events to personal anecdotes, we're here to bring you the pulse of our vibrant town.
So grab your favorite beverage, sit back, and let's dive into another episode of Talkin' Waukesha,
where every conversation springs to life. Welcome back to another episode of Talkin' Waukesha. We're back again with Mayor Shawn Reilly. Welcome back.
I'm happy to be here.
So you served the City of Waukesha for 12 years, and your time in office is coming to a close. So we wanted to take some time to reflect on your tenure and the impact that you've had on the community. So when you first took office 12 years ago, what did you think would be the biggest challenge, and how does that compare to what actually happened?
The biggest challenge, the reason I ran was to get water from the Great Lakes to Waukesha, because I always believed that that was the best solution for Waukesha, and I got an environmental studies background and law background, and I had also followed the entire creation of the compact too. So I thought the biggest challenge would be getting water for Waukesha. I think I was kind of naive to think that it would be difficult, but once it was approved, we could have it happen. It was very difficult to get it approved. There was a lot of work that was put into it by many people, but we did get it approved. And then the big surprise for me was getting the permits, getting the design done, and getting water into Waukesha, and that included negotiating with Milwaukee to get water from them as opposed to Oak Creek. So that was the biggest challenge. Biggest challenge that I thought I was going to have, and it was, I think, the biggest challenge I did have. But probably the thing that surprised me was even after approval by the Compact Council, the work had just started. Building the pipeline and getting agreements done with all the communities that we went through was another enormous amount of work, and it took a lot of negotiation and working with other communities and within Waukesha too. I mean, it's the biggest construction project I hope Waukesha ever does.
Right.
In the fact that it, obviously everyone knows it costs a lot of money. All the residents and businesses are paying for it, and they have noticed their water and sewer rates have increased considerably. But I can say that I knew right from the very get-go. It was discussed in 2014 or 2013 that the rates would have to increase significantly no matter what happened.
Yeah.
Right. Even if you had to bring water in and try and figure out how to not use the lakes, it would
Yeah,
cost
one of the main alternatives was sinking shallow wells to the south and southwest of Waukesha. That the cost for that would have been almost the exact same.
Wow.
What my fear is those wells would not be producing enough without causing massive environmental problems during years of when we had significant droughts.
And then was there risk that it would be contaminated too, just as much by the ground radium?
No, that's why I said shallow wells.
Okay,
Shallow
gotcha.
wells wouldn't have the radium, but it would, by pulling a lot of water out of the shallow aquifer, it would have affected the private wells around there significantly if we had a really bad drought year.
Sure. Or we could just pull from the giant lake that we have right next to us.
Yeah. I mean, but that's since we're not in the basin, the compact makes it much more difficult. And I think the compact is an unbelievable agreement because it's all the Great Lakes states, as 2 Canadian provinces, got together and decided how they would manage the natural resource that they all share.
Yeah, and you had to travel to all those states too, and to Canada.
I didn't talk to the Canadian provinces by going there.
Sure.
But yeah, we went to all the other we basically, Dan Dukniak and I went and spoke to all the DNRs of the other states.
Okay.
Which was
a long road trip. And
yeah, I mean, coming back from one of the, I think when we were visiting New York, we came around Lake Michigan and hit a snowstorm that came out of nowhere. And I was driving, and you actually could not see more than 10 feet in front of you. And
sounds like a good Lake Michigan lake effect snowstorm.
It was, and it was on a freeway, so we kind of just looked at each other, and it's like we kept on driving, but at probably 20 miles an hour.
Just make your own lane and stay in your lane and go from there.
Watch the lights ahead of you, and if they turned redder, you start slowing down.
Yeah, very much. All right, so over more than a decade in office, there have been many moments that shaped both your leadership and the direction of the city. What moment during your time as mayor stands out as the most defining for you personally?
Well, unfortunately, a pretty tragedy. There was numerous times, especially right after it happened, that as mayor, you're going to speak, and that was. It is difficult, but for me, it kind of told me that be authentic was probably the most important thing. And I've talked to when we have emergency planning. I went up to Minnesota and they had the emergency planning there, and I've talked to the League of Wisconsin Municipalities, and I think the most important thing for when your community experiences a tragedy like that is speak from your heart. Don't just write, just don't have someone write you a script and say this is all the correct words. You have to actually dig into your own
be
self.
a little more vulnerable and open of what
you don't. The goal isn't to be vulnerable, but I think if you are really speaking for your heart, you are.
Right.
It shows you're human too. You're a citizen just like everybody else.
I've always been human. I never felt I wasn't human. Being mayor doesn't, some people would think that, like if you are mayor, it's like, you're special. It's like, you're not special because you're mayor. You have a job to do, and everyone else is special. If I'm special, then everyone else is special.
Yeah.
Right. So what accomplishments are you most proud of from your time in office? I mean, you mentioned the water, at least, as one of the largest and kind of hard to top, but what other accomplishments do you have?
And first of all, I'm going to preface this to say they're not my accomplishments. They're accomplishments of the city. I played a part in many of these, but the Common Council, our employees, the public also played an enormous part, which is a new city hall. It's kind of funny. 2021 is when we moved in here. I think people don't even remember the old city hall. That was a building that had outlived its usefulness probably 15 years before that.
It was probably designed as a bomb shelter initially too.
It was built in the early 60s. I think it's 65. And yes, it was built with the idea that it would withstand a nuclear attack on the United States during the Cold War. But it was filled with asbestos. The plumbing, the electrical was no longer really working. It could have been, the Common Council had been studying it since the early 2000s. One of the things that I did is after there was many discussions at the Common Council, we set up a committee to work on what we do, whether we remodel the old city hall or build a new one. And then I kind of just the Common Council couldn't decide what they wanted to do. I did write an editorial basically saying, look, you have to decide one way or the other what we're going to do because this building isn't going to work. The other thing I didn't add was we had 3 boilers to begin with. Only one was working by the time we finished with that building. And if that one had any type of malfunction, we wouldn't have the heat in the building because we would have had to manufacture the parts needed in order to keep the thing going.
Wow.
It was, and I should also add that our computer room flooded regularly, and and we had to put a camera in there so that IT could watch it during rains if it was on the weekend or at night, and they would see that if water was coming in, then they'd all have to go over there and try to protect the computers. So that building was a mess. The new city hall is something that I think the city can be very, very proud of. It'll be, it was expensive too, but building any type of building is that houses this number of employees and provides the necessary infrastructure that's needed, a common council room, a court, all the IV stuff, which is I find is getting more and more expensive. Was definitely needed, and I pretty much consider this building something my children will be using too. So it's got a long, long life to it, and it also provides us with more efficiencies, both as a building, like heating and cooling and stuff like that, but also for our employees. I think it's kind of changed our culture quite a bit. Before, we were all stuck in our own little offices. All the departments were totally separated. Now we've combined some of the departments where they can work together, and we have all these conference rooms where they're basically open to anyone. I see a lot more collaboration between departments that didn't exist before, and for us, that has really helped us, I think, do a better job as a municipality.
Yeah, I mean, I've only seen pictures of the old one because when I first started, everyone else had just moved into this city hall at that point. But it seems like it took a little time for people to kind of get used to, like, oh, I can just walk over to walk over 15 feet and I'm in another department to chat with people. And there's a lot more like, oh, I'm just going to go walk over to them and talk to it rather than wait for Teams messages, wait for emails, things like that.
I forgot to also add that we also got windows because before we didn't have windows.
Yeah. And I think it's also nice too because then it makes it a building that we're proud of. So then when we do local citizens academy or having any of those public meetings, we're excited to bring people into the building instead of being almost like not ashamed, but it's like, yeah, we know this could be better, but this is where we're at. So
it's a little more friendly of an experience than walking into the windowless brick building to do any of your municipal needs.
And I guess I want to put in a plug for our parking situation. You can park in the ramp and get into City Hall very easily, or you can park out front. I think the ramp has it reduced the footprint of the parking lot that we needed for this building. But our employees really, I think they appreciate the ramp, especially when it's pouring rain or we're during a snowstorm.
Yeah. When there's a threat of hail, lightning, anything like that, it's really nice to have a nice little shelter over the top of it.
And in the summer, when it's really hot, you're not getting in a car that's been baking in the sun all day.
Yes, that's also very nice.
The only drawback, I think, is when it's like -30 because it acts like a nice refrigerator and it actually feels colder in there. But, one out of 50 weather events, that's not bad.
Yeah. But I want to add that it's great for the employees, but it's also great for the public because I think, and not everyone, the public doesn't all know that they can use that and come in and no charge for 3 hours, I believe.
2 hours.
2 hours, there's no charge. Most of your business at the city is going to be done in less than an hour. So use the ramp if you can.
Yeah, definitely.
Looking back, is there a decision you would handle differently today?
I can't really think of any specific decision. There's times that things didn't go the way I wanted. And I think I'm going to throw something in there that I don't think people realize, which is the mayor has very little actual authority to decide things. The authority of the mayor comes from the mayor talking to alders and people who are affected by the decisions of the city and trying to work out the best solution. So the one thing that I think I should have recognized earlier was my job is to consistently be talking to all the alders and trying to tell them why I think a certain decision should be made. a specific way, but I have to convince them. It's not. There's no forcing because all the alders know that they have the ability to vote, and I don't. But it's trying to have a conversation with alders individually.
Yeah, give them your perspective and having them understand your point
And answering
decide.
their questions. Yeah. And I think with my experience as being a municipal attorney for 23 years before I was mayor, I have dealt with many of the issues that come in front of the city before as a municipal attorney. I got a lot of experience, and so I would use that to try to talk to people. But going back to your question, which is what would I do differently? I would have started that dialogue much sooner because for the first 2 or 3 years, it was kind of me thinking everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I'm not going to try to interfere with that. The goal of the mayor is to try to convince people what decisions should be made, knowing that the alders have their own. They still are able to always make their own decision, but talking about it and trying to see if find out what their concerns are, because a lot of times they can bring up concerns that I hadn't thought of, and it may change my opinion about something.
Or you might have information that they don't that would help them understand something.
And they have information that I don't have sometimes. So it's like doing what I guess the thing that I'm thinking is what I would do differently is spend a lot more time working with alders to try to go through with them where my thoughts are in regards to decision making.
Opening up that dialogue.
Yeah. And I'm also going to add one other thing, which is I think we have 550 employees. Building a culture for our employees is extremely important, and that's also something that's developed over the years. It wasn't in the forefront in 2014, 15, and 16. I think COVID really created a situation where the culture for your employees is extremely important because I hate to say that people don't recognize that your employees are how you get a really good product, but that's how we get completed all the things that the city needs to do is through our employees, and our employees have to be happy working here. Our employees have to know that they're valued, and our employees also need to keep on striving to be on top of everything, learning new things, and being leaders too. Our employees are our leaders also.
Yeah. And I think you do a good job of that too, especially when we do have our employee events. You're always attending them, you're participating in it too, and are a part of the fun as well, like the other employees. It's not like let them do their thing and I'm going to go back to whatever.
I'm the elected official. I'm over in my own office. If you need me, come find me, or have your director find me. But it's it's very much you're in with everyone else as an employee
and teasing you as much as I possibly can.
Yes, and makes it fun too. So serving as mayor also brings lessons that only come with time, experience, and working closely with the community. So what did you learn about the community that you didn't fully understand when you first took office?
I'm going to go back to the parade tragedy. I knew that the people in Waukesha are good people. I've lived in many different areas in Waukesha, and your neighbors are your friends. Your neighbors, you shoveled their sidewalk in the winter when you're out shoveling, and they shovel yours when they're out shoveling. And my neighbors will mow part of my lawn, and when I'm mowing, it's just as easy, if you're having a barbecue or something like that, over the fence, it's like you want a beer, that type of thing. So I know people in Waukesha are good people. In fact, I think most people, almost throughout the entire world, people are good. What I didn't understand was the willingness to work to show their love when something really bad happens, and that was. I'm so proud of Waukesha because the community came out to help the people that were most impacted.
Yeah, the sense of community and the sense of compassion that came out of the tragedy was eye-opening, I think. It was just shocking of how much people wanted to support each other in arguably one of the worst situations that could possibly happen to a community.
Yes, and I've unfortunately, I have studied it. I've done a lot of reading about what happens to communities when you have a major tragedy, and a lot of times it's school shootings and things like that. It's how the community reacts helps people heal, and there's still, healing's going to go on in Waukesha for forever. It's not really going to. People won't get healed. They'll come to a peace with what happened. But the healing is so much better when the community is supportive, and that's what Waukesha did. And I think we're in a position. Even though something terrible happened, we're in a better position because our community is so loving.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I remember especially seeing everyone come together too. It almost felt fake because you see stuff like that in movies and you're like, that doesn't happen in real life. But then you're actually seeing it all come together, everyone coming as one to support each other. And it's like, wow, it's a very powerful feeling that.
Yeah, and that for me, that feeling was I think the day after at Cutler Park when we had the community came with candles, I believe.
Yeah,
and everyone was there to be supportive, and the speeches were phenomenal. But just the community coming together was really hit you hard, and everyone there knew that the reason we were there is to help.
Yeah, and even that years after, I mean, we just passed the 4th year observance, and that there's still hundreds of people, regardless of how rainy, cold, wet, and however November chooses to reveal itself.
Yep.
That there's still hundreds of people who are coming out to continue support the memorials and continue to support each other.
I think I always remembered it as being very cold, but that was. I guess I also have to add that both the memorials that were built by the community and by people internationally. I mean, we had contributions from all over. Also, for the people who were impacted most by the tragedy, the amount of money that was raised was unbelievable. But building those memorials is a testament to our community also, because there's some tragedies have happened in communities and they're still working on their memorials, and it's been more than 5 years. We were able to get the community to rally around it and build it in what it may seem like a long time, but it's actually a very short time for something like that.
Astronomically quick to get concepts and get it built and dedicated.
And whenever I drive by there, I always will look down at the memorial, and I would say 9 out of 10 times there's someone down there, and you can tell that they're there to find peace.
Yeah. And it's made itself a very beautiful park, both like aesthetically and for the actual remembrance portion of it as well.
I'm looking forward to all the plants being in bloom, and it is a gorgeous park.
Yeah, definitely is.
Yeah. So in office, how did you handle criticism or oppositions during difficult moments?
Well, it depends. How was the criticism framed? If it was that I think you're making the wrong decision because of this, and this,
Like a constructive criticism.
I welcome that. I mean, I can say that when people vote a way that I wouldn't have voted, and then they state their reasons why, and it's like, okay, they thought about it. I have no problem with that, and I actually welcome it, because this is a decision-making process that is a majority decision-making. So I don't expect everyone to always be from the same position and always vote the same. I think it's beautiful that we have this form of government that people can disagree and walk away from it, accepting the results based upon the majority. So that type of, someone may say, well, I think where you're coming from is wrong, and this is why. My legal background is well suited to saying that's perfectly fine, and let's go and meet each other at the bar after this. If it's personal attacks, that pisses me off. I don't like. I try not to make personal attacks upon anyone else, and I think personal attacks are kind of a cancer for our community. If it's all about, you're just a bad person and anything you bring forth is bad, that really, really can be detrimental to the community, especially if everyone starts doing it. So personal attacks, personal criticisms have, to me, makes me mad, and I will probably, what it does is make me work harder to try to convince people that my position is right. So
it is more fun when people are just saying, "Oh, anything you're doing is wrong," and then when you just have that moment where you're proving their point incorrect, and you just kind of you get that extra little cheeky pride over the top of it of well, now that person has to see that they're a little wrong in the process.
Well, and I think that sometimes when you get if there's only a couple, and I'm thinking of common council decision making and stuff like that, if there's 2 or 3 people, 1, 2 or 3 people that are making an argument that you look around and no one else is supporting that argument, you don't even respond. You just leave it because you know what the vote is. And I think that's, and plus the mayor, that's another surprise for people. When I'm sitting in common council as the mayor, I really am not able to respond or provide my viewpoints during that. I have to do that beforehand with the alders. There's a specific rule that says that I can't try to convince people from my seat. I'm the one that is running the meeting. I'm not able to participate in the discussion.
You can provide clarification, but you can't try and sway.
Exactly. I mean, I will provide clarification, and I do still talk quite a bit during the meetings, but it's not to try to say the decision should be this way or that way. The only time it comes to me is in that situation at Common Council during the meetings is if it's a tie vote, and then I get to vote.
I think I've only seen you vote in a tie maybe once.
Yeah, once, maybe twice.
Yeah, I've done it probably 3 or 4, but it's been very, very infrequent. And sometimes I really hate it. From the viewpoint of, let's say the vote is 7-7, and the mayor breaks a tie. If this is something that it's really important from the standpoint of the policy of the city, and I vote to break the tie to say yes or no, then 2 or 3 months from now, it can be overturned. I do like votes that are 10 to 5, where you have a significant majority making a decision, because then the decision's going to stick and it's not going to be chipped away at in the future.
It's been thought about carefully enough where a majority of residents' needs are being met. And
well, it's more that I know that the elected leaders are behind one position or the other. When it's a tie vote, well, one person that voted in favor of it at the last meeting may be gone, and then it's no longer a tie vote. It can be.
It's just
flipped.
Kind of an incident of luck, kind of at that point where someone's out of town, someone's sick, and then their vote can't be brought in by proxy.
Yeah, it's just something where the decision makers, which are the Common Council, are not fully behind it because it's too close.
Yeah.
Yeah. Public service doesn't just shape a community, it often shapes the person serving as well. So how has serving as mayor changed you as a person?
So as a municipal attorney and as an attorney, I also did private practice, which included businesses and development and a little bit of family law and a lot of real estate. Things tended to be more black and white because I'd research it and it's like, okay, here's the law. I also understood that the law itself isn't always going to be totally black and white, but it was much more. Here's a position that is right, and we should always go through with that. as mayor, you kind of learned that compromise is probably the better way of getting things done. So before being mayor, I was much less likely to think of things in solutions in the way of compromise. It was more, let's look at this, and the best decision is this. Well, sometimes that doesn't work that way, so compromise is very important. So that's probably the biggest change is accepting compromise more. And that translates to my personal life too. I raised two daughters. I got divorced in 2005 or so, and I had two little kids. So I was a single dad, and that all worked out perfectly. I mean, I shouldn't say perfectly. It worked out well. But I just recently, in 2020, I got remarried and I now have three stepkids. So I spent as a single dad running my own household. I was the king. I'm no longer the king. So it's also that's personal life has taught me that I was working on compromise as mayor. Now I'm working as compromise as a dad with three stepkids, and where it was just me living in the house, and now there's four more people living in there, and so that's it translated well. Learning how to compromise, and
So would you say that being a mayor is much more like being a good parent instead of just always being a good leader, or is it a little of both?
It's both. There's times when you have to lead, and there's times when you have to listen to really listen to your wife, or listen to your kids. You can't always be this is the way you're going to do it. I think with my daughters who are 27 and 30, will say I pretty much said this is the way you're doing it, and we weren't going to discuss it. But now my stepkids will say, I give them the opportunity to speak.
I'm sure your older daughters loved that. They're like, hey, noticing a little difference here.
Yeah. Yes, they probably do. I haven't talked to them about it. Probably I should. Huh?
Yeah, right. There's a family therapy moment there.
My youngest daughter, Izzy, will say she'll always tease me about needing therapy because of the way she was raised. But I think that's common for most kids that are in their 30s, that if they aren't saying it, they're thinking it.
Yeah. Right. So what do you think you'll miss most about the job?
So one of the things I've said is I'm going to really miss the job, but there's a lot of things I'm not going to miss about the job. You have to kind of look at social media. You have to pay attention to it as mayor. But okay, people spouting off without thinking, and going back to, and it's personal attacks, and it's just plain stupid. There's a lot of stupidity on social media where people think that they know everything and they don't. And there'll be social media comments about what I just said.
Yeah.
Which is, but if you don't know, if you haven't paid attention to the process of what the city's decision is, and then you make a snap judgment about it, you're not doing yourself any favors, and you're doing the community a disfavor because you're spreading false information. That generally happens. The garbage fee, for most people, they think that it's an additional fee. Generally, it isn't. If your house is worth more than $300,000, you probably have your taxes, all things else being considered equal, probably went down some. Now, the problem with that is there's a reassessment, and the amount of money that goes to residences, the amount of revenue from taxes that come from residential property is such a significant part of our budget that it causes taxes have gone up. I mean, home values have gone up. That doesn't immediately equate to your taxes going up, but We get very little money from the state revenue coming in from the state. We need, and we're getting less and less pretty much every single year. Our expenses increase. What the public needs to understand is, if you want the services, we're going to get less services because we have less money. So now we're going through how to figure out how to provide services with less money. The garbage fee was a good example of that. We took it out of our operating budget and put it into basically a fund that pays for itself. And we're in a situation, and this is pretty much most communities in the state of Wisconsin, there's less revenue coming in from the state. There's less, and we're limited on what you can raise taxes. So most communities, and if you really follow what's happening in other communities, you're seeing that they're reducing services, and taxes aren't going down. If we reduce services, taxes will not go down. They'll hopefully stay the same. And I think in the next 5 years, we're going to be running into communities are going to be looking at like, well, we used to have all these things that the city provided or the town or the village provided, and they're not going to be there. And people won't understand that because they haven't really looked at the entire big picture, which is, well, the city used to get, I'm just going to use a round number, $100,000 from the state, 5 years ago. Now they get $100,000, but the cost of everything has gone up 15%. That's a 15% cut in your budget, really. So I wish people would spend a little bit more time trying to figure out the big picture. I know it's difficult.
Right. There's a lot of moving pieces within it. It's tricky from that side of things, but really it just comes down to like we end up paying more taxes than the state was willing to give back, and it's hurting the local municipalities pretty hard.
And we really can't raise taxes either. That's the other thing that's happening. So we're also getting since you can only raise your levy based upon net new construction. For us, that's going to pretty much be less than 2%. So if inflation is 2.5%, we've also had a 0.5% pay cut or revenue cut. I shouldn't say pay cut, a revenue cut in 2025. You go, and if that happens every single year, pretty soon, that builds on itself, and you end up. Municipalities are in a financial bind.
Yeah.
And what you see a lot of people, community members saying is like, well, my taxes just go up and I get less services. That's happening, but talk to your legislator. Yeah. The city's trying to do what it can. But it's a state that's kind of we're the puppet. The state is holding the strings. I don't see that changing for at least a couple of years. But I wish people would have a better understanding of that. Instead, they see what they get in their tax bill and what their services are being provided, and they think they have a solution. It's like, well, just get rid of this. Get rid of Tribute Tuesdays. Well, Tribute Tuesdays are paid for by sponsors. So yes, you can get rid of it, but it doesn't reduce your budget.
Yeah, just reduced value
it reduces service. Yeah. It reduces service to the community.
Yeah, and it's not fun either having to talk to vendors and explain the situation of like, here's what our budget is. Like, we'd love to try and have all these extra added bells and whistles for improving the process of how you apply for a permit, how you do something on the website. But when you explain to them like, yeah, we're in a financial bind from the state level and there's not much we can do, a lot of these vendors haven't heard that from the state, but they're like, okay, this makes sense on why we're having trouble trying to work with Wisconsin municipalities, work with other kind of state municipalities when it's from the state level of things being tricky. This is going way off topic at this point, but still, it's the biggest issue, I think, that we're facing.
On the flip side of that, municipalities always need to be looking for more efficient ways of doing things. And that, I think you're going to see a lot more municipalities working together to try to make it so that they can still provide the service with the same quality with less cost.
Yeah.
So I'm not totally opposed to the state putting screws on municipalities. I think it's needed, but it's also been done for much more than a decade. And we're in a position now where it's like you need to figure out. We need to have some flexibility.
Right.
We don't have the flexibility, and communities have become more efficient. But the state needs to look at, the state legislators need to look at some way of helping communities.
Right. I mean, to be fair, we've gotten leaner and leaner, I feel, for, from what everyone can do, kind of that standpoint. But like, as you said, the screws are tightening and there's no more juice at this point. And
we are off topic, but I'm going to bring us further off topic, which is, just even finding good quality employees is difficult. We have many positions that remain open because we can't find someone to fill them. You look at that organization wide, and it creates issues. Our engineering is a good example. CDL licenses, is another example, and so. That's something to also take into consideration. You do get paid less if you're a city employee generally than if you're in the private.
But you do enter into one of the, I think it's the second or first strongest pension systems in the U.S. From a state perspective.
Yes, you have a very good pension system, and the employee contributes to it as well as the city. But you tell a 24-year-old that you can get a pension in 40 years.
Yeah.
They're not jumping at that.
So yeah, it's a little just kind of scrambled words in the air, and
I still don't get it.
give it 5 years. It'll start mattering more.
Right. It's kind of neat. That I did not have a pension, but now I do. And it's not a lot, but it definitely makes a difference.
Yeah, it'll make ends meet.
So how do you hope residents will remember your time as mayor?
Well, I did run on no drama, and I think I've met that campaign pledge. The goal here is to not have the mayor be in the paper for what the mayor did. There's things that happen in the city that people that will be in the paper, but my goal is not for me not to be the article. It's more about what the city did or didn't do. So I think people will remember that it was a very not boring time because we accomplished a lot. But
you weren't problematic.
Yes, I didn't cause problems. I like to think that I was solving problems.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think that's actually a very fair statement. It was the finger was getting pointed at the city generically if people were pointing fingers at something, not like, oh, it's the mayor's fault. It was this Halder's fault. It was this decision-making fault.
Yes. Did things happen over the last 12 years that, shouldn't have happened that way? Yes. But it didn't. It wasn't the mayor bringing the problem to the city.
Correct. Yeah.
Which is pretty low bar when you think about it.
I mean, so that's kind of like an expectation when you're like, oh, okay, I'm throwing my hat in the ring to be mayor. Like that should be an expectation. But in the world of politics now, it's nice to hear like, yeah, let's try and not have any drama. Let's focus on what the city needs.
Exactly. So I met that low bar.
Yeah, it's a good bar to try and set though.
Every mayor should meet that low bar.
So as one chapter closes, another begins for both the city and for you personally. So do you see yourself staying involved in public service in some way?
Yeah. Not as an elected, I don't think. But I do believe, I don't plan on just retiring and people never hearing me
Just
again.
right off into the sunset.
Yeah. There's a couple, I don't have a plan yet as to exactly what I'm going to do. I am going to take a couple months off. My house needs to be painted and I want to go fishing,
Take the summer off,
do some
relax.
golfing, do some camping.
The plan is no plan.
The plan at this point is no plan, but I am still working on. I got a couple things that I would like to try. I'm still talking to some people about whether I would fit within their organization, but I don't want to go through an election. As this election is happening, I'm really happy that I'm not involved in it, because one, I hated trying to raise funds, and you have to raise funds. But two, you are being personally attacked if you're running for office, pretty much nonstop.
Yeah.
And if just for everyone who's going to listen to this, you can always support your candidate, but doesn't mean you need to personally attack the opposing candidate. You can point out why your candidate is better and why the other candidate isn't better. But it's not about their personal traits or anything like that. So I got back. I'm trying to bring it back.
Yeah, it's all about being an educated voter, knowing why you prefer what one person believes over someone else's.
Voting
is
very important.
Yeah.
But it's not a popularity contest.
No, and it shouldn't be.
But I won't be someone who just is sitting at home and taking care of their yard. I think I'll be very busy.
So you can come into council meetings and public comment.
Yeah, I don't plan on if I do come to common council and speak as a citizen. It's probably because I'm pretty teed off.
So we'll know it's important if you're coming by to speak as a citizen.
Yeah, it won't be for issues that are not important to me.
Exactly.
So what advice would you give the next mayor?
Recognize what authority you do have. That is so important. Mayors, I've kind of already touched on this. Mayors don't make the decisions. They have to try to convince the common council to make decisions. They're not in charge of employees. The city administrator is. They don't make the budget. They have the only thing they can do regarding the budget is it may be two things. One is try to convince alders that there should be changes in the budget from what the city administrator already put together, if they think that should be done. The other thing is to veto it. And if you do veto it, the mayor better have a really good explanation of why he or she is vetoing it and what they think should be changed. You see, the public expects the mayor to be making every single decision. I'm going to go back to my power as mayor, or anyone's power as mayor, in the city of Waukesha, because there are differences in other communities, is to try to convince people of what you think is the right decision. It's not deciding it, it's trying to convince others. And I see so many, I see people saying that the mayor should do this, the mayor should do that, and it's kind of like, okay, I think you're right, or I think you're wrong. I will work on it, or I won't work on it. But I'm not deciding it. There's, I can do ribbon cut. I can decide whether to go to ribbon cutting or not. I can decide whether to meet with individuals that want to meet with me. But the mayor, him or herself, doesn't usually have the authority to make a decision. Everyone thinks that they do. I see campaign stuff, and when I'm mayor, I'm going to do this. This is not just City Waukesha. It's like, I'm going to do this. And I'm like, really? How are you going to do that? You don't even have the ability to vote. So in Waukesha, we have what's called a weak mayor system. The mayor is very important, but the mayor is like the spokesperson.
Right.
And if the common council does something that you disagree with, you still have to speak in favor of. You should speak in favor of what the common council decided, because that's a decision of the city. It's not your decision; it's a decision of the city. And I'm going back to, I've kind of hit on this numerous times. Common council doesn't always realize it, but they're the ones that are in charge, along with the city administrator, from the standpoint of all our employees.
Yeah, they're very much like that. It took me a little while from working in the city to kind of realize that weak mayor system of you're here to lobby and advocate for the city on for whatever it needs to, because obviously the alders have other jobs on top of being an alder person, and you're just basically for lack of a better term that I can think of right now, the cheerleader for the city of like, we're doing this, go us, we're doing good, but also at the same time, you need to be the stern adult of like, hey, we need to improve on this, and what can we do?
Well, I'm not flexible enough to be a cheerleader, but just even the jumping jacks would be at this point would be kind of difficult.
Yeah.
So is that your plan for next is work on some jumping jacks, fishing, golf,
Gymnastics, doing all gymnastics.
Just some light taekwondo and
that wouldn't be bad.
No. So finally, as you wrap up your time for serving the community, we want to give you the opportunity to speak directly to the residents that you've served. So if you had one or more messages that you want to leave with the residents that you've served for the past 12 years, what would it be?
That's kind of easy, which is recognize that your community is actually wonderful. This is not a suburb or a bedroom community. This is this is an urban area with diverse population from both race, religion, financial status. We are very dependent upon our manufacturers. We are our own entity. We're not dependent. Well, everyone's dependent upon other communities, but we stand alone as a city. And this city is truly wonderful. We have so many amenities. We have so many things that the city itself provides, but also the community provides to our population to live a full life. And our city celebrate our city, be happy, be proud of our city. I'm very, very proud of the city of Waukesha. I'm very, very proud of the way we respond to tragedies, but I'm also very proud of the way we respond to the things that we can celebrate. I mean, people love the Riverwalk. People love Friday Night Live. People love everything we do at Cutler Park. But we have, our pools. We have so many different programs. We really work, the entire community, and this is not just saying the city, the entire community works to make this a wonderful place. We have great restaurants. We have a wonderful downtown. Look at the good things. Don't immediately go to, I'm upset about this. And going back again to be flexible. You need to compromise. You're not going to get everything you want, but look at the things that you are getting. Look at the benefits that you get for living in the city of Waukesha.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
That's great.
Well, thank you so much for your dedication to our city for 12 years. And thank you so much for joining us on this episode.
Yes, thank you.
I didn't know I had a choice.
Everyone's got a choice.
It was in my calendar. I pretty much figured it's like, in fact, actually, I was talking to Tony, and so I was late for this interview, talking Waukesha. But I get out, and Jenny's like, they're downstairs, so they're whenever you can make it down there, which meant, it's like you're late.
We got flexibility to it a little bit.
We got there.
Yeah.
But thank you.
Well, thank you so much.
Happy to do it.
And that's a wrap for another episode of Talkin' Waukesha. We hope you enjoyed diving into the heart of our city with us.
If you have a story to share or just want to say hello, reach out to us on social media at City of Waukesha on Facebook. We love hearing from our listeners.
Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review if you enjoyed the conversation. It really helps us spread the word.
As always, thanks for tuning in to Talkin' Waukesha, where every conversation springs to life.